All right, ladies and gentlemen, what do we have here? We have pollen grains, pictures taken with a scanning electron microscope. What kind of pollen is this? It's grass pollen. What kind of pollen is this over here? It is rose pollen. What kind of pollen at the bottom? Ragweed pollen. How can you tell that, Professor? Well, the hard outer shell is very diagnostic. A pollen expert can tell just by looking what kind of plant the pollen came from. And the reason I can tell you is that I'm not only a pollen expert, I can read the caption at the bottom of the picture. Oh my goodness gracious. Here's a picture of a pollen grain from poppy pollen. This picture is from page 439 in your textbook. And here's some pollen that somebody got from different plants, kind of put them on the same slide, showing you some of the different types of pollen. These, of course, were taken with a light microscope. You don't see the hard outer shell quite as easily as with scanning electron microscopy. And so pollen development is part of the life cycle of angiosperms or flowering plants. Here's the pollen part of it. It occurs in an anther and starts with microsporocytes. We talked about that in the pollen story, and develops into quartets or tetrads of microspores, which continue to develop until you have a pollen grain. And so key features of that are in some of the slides you're going to be looking at. Here's an entire, of course, anther and its filament. Anthers, of course, having how many pollen sacs? 4. And so here's one up a little bit closer. We see something going on inside this pollen sac. Some type of cell division must have taken place. And what was that? Yes, it was meiosis of the microsporocytes, producing 4 daughter cells. You say, I don't always see 4 daughter cells, Professor. In some cases, I see 2, some cases 3. There might be 2 if it's halfway through meiosis, but 3, there's one hiding there someplace that we don't see. And so here we see 3 out of the 4 microspores. Microspores, what's the chromosome number of each of these nuclei? It is N, and it's after meiosis. These are microspores. And here we see 4 of them. 4 of them. And so here we only see 2 or 3, but here we see all 4 of the microspores. And so pollen continues to develop, the microspores separate, and mitosis and a couple of mitoses take place. And inside the pollen grain, this is lily pollen. You can kind of see what the hard outer shell of lily pollen looks like. Even here's some sliced and diced little bits of it up here. Even with a light microscope, you can kind of tell what the hard outer shell looks like. And what are these 2 things inside the mature pollen grain? Well, if we somehow knew they were the same thing, what would they be? They would be what? Sperm cells. Sperm cells. And so, ladies and gentlemen, all of that development took place in one of these pollen sacs, getting Mr. Pollen Grain ready to go forth in the next act in the program called pollination. Pollination. But that's the end of this show for this one. All right. Bye-bye.